3, 2, 1. You're live on Facebook. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm Lauren. We've got Chris, our director of photography, hanging
What's
out
up?
with you on the Mike Staff Productions Facebook page. And we just want to thank you guys for tuning in week after week. Last week we had over 1,000 views.
It's been awesome. The participation has grown every single week. People are more engaged every week.
Yeah.
And we're getting great feedback on it.
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to share all of these topics with you, and also the venues that we love working with. So we discussed Cherry Creek last week. You guys voted. Royal Park is next week. But today we are talking about something, I mean, very near and dear to this guy's heart as a photographer.
It is.
In general, but also to Mike Staff Production, the company as a whole.
Yep.
Backup plans. And we're talking about backup plans in every
Aspect.
form.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, I almost needed to come up with a backup plan for myself for today because, childcare, grandma was sick to watch my daughter. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. So starting on Monday, I was, contacting my coworkers trying to figure out what plan B could be if I couldn't be here today. But all good. But still, that just goes to show you how important having a backup plan, a plan B, and a system in place is, because life happens.
Yes, it does.
So talk about the aspect of, and there was a thing in the news recently that kind of helped us regenerate this topic.
Yeah, it kind of helped us it all came into the forefront publicly for a lot of people the last week or so.
All right, let's throw that article up. Actually, this is something that you might have seen circulating Facebook in the last week or two, really.
Yeah, it's been a big thing. It's been on Facebook. It's been not only just in photographer groups talking about it, but it's actually local news.
Right.
I don't know if it's national, but at least locally, it's been a big conversation, especially because it happened during the Lions game, and it's an area that I am down. I was at that game.
Yep.
I mean, I'm normally down there in the same thing.
Yeah, so the gist of the story was this couple that you see on this local news headline had their photos taken by a photographer. That photographer went to a Lions game, had her laptop and all of the flash drives and external hard drives in the car.
It sounds like the whole bag was kind of taken, is what it sounds like.
In the car, parked in Detroit at the Lions game, car was broken into. Everything was stolen, including this couple's wedding photos and two other couples that live in Grand Rapids, their wedding photos. So this sparked a conversation not only with our team, but also, Chris, with you and your photographers that you keep in touch with and manage. And it kind of just had us revisit this topic as a central discussion. Yeah,
it's a backup for everything. I mean, we talk about backup plans as a company, myself as a photographer, as an educator, as a coach to our team. I mean, backup systems is what we pride ourselves on as professionals. Yeah. And it goes so much deeper than just images, okay? So we'll first talk about images, okay? So a standard procedure for a photographer is the cards, literally, my cards live in cases like this. Okay, this is a hard shell case. It's got all my cards in it from the past 2 weeks, and I have a couple of these. These are made by Pelican. They're super strong. I actually drove one of my trucks over one a couple years ago just to prove that it would work. And
it's not going to get wet.
It's waterproof. No, you can drop it in water. It's going to be fine. All my cards are protected. It's super, super strong. It's not going to get damaged, okay? So when I leave a wedding, what I do is I take two of my cards out. All of my cameras have dual cards.
Okay.
So I'm shooting to 2 cards at a time, no matter where I am in the wedding.
Okay.
I take 2 of them out, I put them in this case, and I literally put them in my top pocket. And that's where they live until I get home from the wedding.
Okay.
If I got to stop at the gas station, if I got to stop to grab a Coke on the way home, something like that, I need to go in anywhere, I got the cards. They're right here. Someone takes my truck, all my gear, oh well, I got the wedding. So that's a procedure I've done for a decade.
I mean, and this couple that, went through this unfortunate incident, I mean, they were contacting local news outlets because they just want their pictures.
Yeah,
they're so desperate for them.
Yeah, there wasn't even anything about being upset with the photographer, nothing like that. Right. It was all about just, we're still looking for this. We've spread it out. It's like, just bring the laptop back, let us get the images. I know they were checking pawn shops, stuff like that. Yeah. So a big thing about card storage is as soon as I get home, I go into my office, the house, and I upload to my hard drive. I then upload and back up to a second hard drive.
So now they're not only on your cards, they're on your computer and a backup hard drive.
Yep, and there's still a second set in my cameras.
Oh yeah, because you shoot.
Because I have the
two.
other card, yeah. So I still have that other set right here
That's a
in
lot.
my cameras. Yeah, and I mean, people will tell me I'm OCD about backing up, but you know what? CYA.
If one gets lost or one gets damaged,
Exactly.
you have multiple to back you up.
Exactly.
So what is a question that a couple can ask a photographer when they're shopping around trying to find the right fit for their wedding to make sure that that person is doing what you're doing?
Exactly. So it's a simple conversation of, hey, what's your backup plan? What's your procedure? And how do you handle your images post-wedding? Mm-hmm. And every photographer that is a professional should and will have an answer for you.
Okay.
If they don't have an answer, that means they don't have a system. That could be a red flag.
Okay.
The average professional is going to have a system. They do the same thing every weekend, every wedding, every event. And because they have that system, they're not going to have a problem.
Right. Okay, so that's super important too, because it might not be something you think about
Absolutely.
prior. You think, oh, okay, they're going to have my pictures. They're going to put them on the computer.
Because why wouldn't they?
What if something happens to that computer?
Right.
That's why you back it up to a separate hard drive
Exactly.
in case your computer crashes. So you have to plan for the what ifs because life happens, emergencies happen.
Yep.
And in the comments here, I posted a link to how wedding professionals overcome obstacles. And it was an article that we wrote and were inspired to write after a very hot summer day.
Yes.
For our shooters and our DJs and our videographers who were out working like the hottest day this summer in mid-July, and everything was overheating.
Yep.
Speakers, cameras, things were melting, and it was, so click that article to hear from some of our photographers who I interviewed, and they talked about their system and what they did. Nothing was stolen, but stuff started just malfunctioning because it was so hot, and they will give you some great perspective on the backup system and how they really just made it through that day. Because even if everything's going well, you're dealing with issues like weather that can also affect equipment. So there's backup for that too. So I guess let's talk a little bit about, equipment then.
Sure, absolutely.
And what we're saying stems from our DJs, photographers, and videographers.
Yes.
Our DJs have backup speakers. Our DJs have backup mics.
Yep.
They have batteries. They have extra
Backup laptop,
cables.
backup hard drives with music on it.
Your playlist that they send you, they've got it in 3 separate spots.
Yep.
So this applies to all of our vendors company-wide. But let's talk a little bit about photography and your equipment. And for example, like on that hot day, if lights start to burst or things start to get wacky because it's too hot or too cold or too wet, what happens? What happens when the camera...
So I've had it. I've had it on many occasions. I've had it with one of my flash units that it literally got so hot that this battery was like, it was unsafe to touch it.
Wow.
Because it's working and it's doing high energy stuff, and then you add a 95-degree day to it, and it's just a bad day all around.
Sure.
So I had it over the summer on one of those hot days. This flash overheated. All of a sudden I'm looking, the flash isn't going off. So I quickly run over. I don't have time to go fix this flash.
Sure.
So the wedding's going on, right?
Happening.
So I grab the flash, I toss it in my bag, I grab the backup, right?
Okay.
So I've got backups for backups. I've got backups when that one goes down.
Oh my gosh.
I've got another backup for if that one goes down.
Wait, how many backups is this?
I carry 5 with me on a wedding, and there's another one in the truck, so I got 6.
How often do you think you actually tap into your backup equipment?
On a hot summer day,
Sure,
when the batteries are overheated, I've done it more than twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I've definitely had to. I have had it where it's mainly a battery issue. The batteries overheat.
Right.
We run into the opposite in the winter. I've had it where I'm outside and batteries get so Arctic cold, they just lose life.
Wow. Or if it gets wet.
Right, exactly. We had photographers this summer on a wedding that it started downpouring out of nowhere, soaked. And 2 of them had cameras that stopped working because they got so wet.
Oh my God, that's such a nightmare, right?
Total freak out. It's expensive equipment. It's how you make your livelihood. It's your tools. And all of a sudden it didn't work. Both photographers texted me, down a camera. in the rain, no worries, grab the other one.
Okay.
So they went to their bag, they grabbed the backup because they had an extra one. A lot of photographers like myself, I carry 3 cameras on a wedding.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the moral of this conversation is one backup is not enough.
Not always enough, no.
Wow.
No.
So again, is that something that couples could ask?
It's a very standard question. I think it's a very
okay.
standard question. I think if you were to talk to a photographer that said, no, I don't have a backup, I only have one. Why? What happens if that hits the ground? Oh. Now, I luckily, knock on wood, I'm sitting on a wood stool knocking on that. I've never had a camera actually like drop and break on a wedding. But it happens. I've seen it happen. You trip, something slips. Right, exactly. I've seen it happen. You gotta have backups.
Oh,
for the same reason, I have extra lenses.
Like I get a pit in my stomach thinking about my wedding day, and if something were to happen, because you're not thinking about that. You think everything's gonna be perfect, but what if? I mean, and we'll get into this. I'm getting ahead of myself. Because I want to see what else you have in your bag.
Sure.
Your bag of tricks. Things can happen to equipment, but things can also happen to people too. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Yes.
What other elements of equipment should we focus on?
So things that I always have in my bag is always backup camera, right?
Okay.
So I have 2 backups because I shoot 2 on me.
Okay.
We already saw I have multiple flashes.
Yes.
My bag on average has between 7 and 9 different lenses in it.
Okay.
Now that isn't just because I have the variety and I want to be able to shoot different things different ways.
Super fancy.
Exactly. Yeah. Not that I'm just super fancy, only on occasion. But mainly because also some of my lenses will have the same focal lengths, or at least close to, because if my main lens goes down or something breaks, it hits the ground, whatever, I still need something in that focal length to finish my day.
Okay.
Right? And I can't tell the client, like, oh no, we can't do wide family shots anymore today. That one's broken.
Died.
Yeah, I can't. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the store. Like, I don't have time for that on a wedding. So I got extras, right? I got backups. Other things are, I carry so many extra batteries. I've never forgotten to charge a battery, but it could happen, I'm sure.
Of course.
So I've got extras batteries. I normally use about 3 batteries in a day.
Okay.
I carry 6 with me total, so I've got double. I have backups for the triggers. This is what triggers my flash that goes on top of the camera.
Okay.
I got a backup for this. I have had these fail on a wedding, and you know what happens? I literally don't blink because I already have the other camera on my other hip.
Yep.
And I just simply pop it off.
It's just seamless.
Pop the other one on. Because the other thing is, these are issues that I don't want my clients to think about.
Right, because technology.
I don't want them to worry about these things.
Equipment, like stuff fails.
It happens.
Your phone overheats,
Right.
You're on your computer, something crashes, like you can't always control it, you don't always know what's happening. And something like that, you're a professional, so you know that that's a simple fix.
Right. I had a wedding, the story I tell to a lot of my clients, because I do get clients that ask, do you have backup? What do you do?
Okay.
If something breaks on a wedding, what's your reaction to it?
Right.
So I had a wedding about 4 or 5 years ago, about 4 years ago. I had a flash similar to this.
Okay.
And I had it on top of a light stand. And I'm in the church, and I'm in the middle of family photos, and I'm moving a light, and I turned too quickly. And this hit the pew. And it literally broke it in half.
Oh, lovely.
And I literally go, oh man, and I pick up the pieces, and I walk over my second shooter, I said, can you put this in my bag?
Put this in the graveyard.
And I look up at the bride, and the bride goes, oh my God, are you okay? And she was like so sweet. She's like, we can pay to replace it. I was like, I did it. Like, this is my fault. And I was like, she's like, well, what do we do now? I was like, oh, there's 4 more in the bag.
Watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got
Into the bag of tricks, and out came a new flash, and they started cracking up. It goes even deeper than gear, though. So you and I were talking about this the other day. I carry a backup suit.
Yes, which I love to hear.
I carry a second set of clothes.
Okay, why?
So it stems back to years ago. I used to do youth work.
Okay.
So I used to work with teenagers for a youth program. And I learned in that job always prepared for anything.
Well, kids are messy.
Yes,
I get
totally. We each have one. We know how crazy and messy they can be. So I started always carrying a suit with me.
Okay.
And it really started years and years ago. This is probably 15 years ago. I was at a wedding and someone spilled a beer on me, and I absolutely hated that because I don't ever drink on a wedding. I hated that I smelled like beer the rest of the night.
It, and then you're sticky.
Because they don't know that someone spilled a beer on me, right. But I smell like it now, and I hated that. So ever since then, I always carried it. And it happened on a wedding.
Well, you learned from example, right?
I did, yeah. And I was on a wedding with John, one of our photographers, and I was in downtown Ann Arbor, and the client said, "Can you climb up there?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." They went on an overhead shot.
Okay.
And true story, guys. My team has heard this. I go to jump up onto this ledge.
Okay.
And there's a screw sticking out.
Oh no.
And guys, I'm not exaggerating when I say that my pants went from here on the hip all the way down to the ankle.
Oh my gosh, the whole
thing. It was an open panel. The whole pem's gone.
Oh my god.
The screw caught right at the pocket and slit the whole thing. And the client's eyes look up, and I'm like, it's really breezy out here.
Oh my god.
I look at my other photographer and said, keep shooting, I'll be right back.
What if you didn't have extras?
I'd have been finding every bobby pin and safety pin and paper clip I could, and I would have. I'd have duct taped it if I had to.
Right, yeah, you probably have duct tape
I
in there.
do in the bag, yeah, in the other bag I do, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, how horrifying.
But I went to the car. I did a quick change.
Boom, like it never even happened.
Pants off, new suit pants on, and I come back out 10 minutes later, and the clients look at me, and she's like, "No way you had an extra suit in your car."
That is so awesome.
I was like, "Of course." I go, "You don't?" And,
right.
And I just played it off like it was nothing. And I mean, she's like, "That was pretty sweet."
That is so cool. And who we got here? Sandy. She's checking in. She's saying that's good to know. So it's probably just about all of your equipment.
Yeah, we always want to have prepared backup stuff.
Right. So if anything happens to suit pants, to flashes, I mean, my goodness, if anything, even if it's really hot, or if you're sopping wet.
Totally.
Something like you said spills on you, and you're soaking wet, or you're just sweaty and feel gross. Yeah. You can change and feel fresh for the reception. So it makes such a huge difference for you and any vendor that you're working with.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about our backup plan with people.
Yeah.
This is something that's so important that our sales team does talk a lot about with our couples in the room. And I will say, there's a couple of graphics in the comments here if you want to check them out. Natalie from our marketing team made them. It kind of lists all the equipment that we do have backups. All of our vendors carry backup of, and also questions to ask your vendors about any backup information that you want to know.
Perfect.
So check those out. We'll put them up on our website too. So backup people. Not only can equipment fail, but people can fail. You know, emergencies happen.
Life happens.
Car accidents happen. Illnesses happen. Family emergencies happen. So talk to me a little bit about why this is such an important policy that the company has.
We stand by our backup system. We have someone on call every day. We have weddings out, whether
for DJ,
video, photo, across the teams.
Always somebody on call.
And it's not like one person. It's like one for the DJ team, for the photo team, for the video team.
Yep.
This is not a random extra person. This is not someone that is just an amateur. Right. This is one of our regular team members.
That you would look at
that you would actually book and be able to shoot with and work with and everything else. It is someone that people basically, we luckily have a large team.
Yep.
So they're able to take normally 2 dates a year and then volunteer for that, and then they're that backup person that day. We've had to use the backup system.
Of course.
It has saved us on more than one occasion. And to give you an example of like how, we had a photographer that got injured. They were downtown Detroit. Some glass slipped in, cut them on the edge of the foot.
Prior to the wedding.
In the middle of the beginning of the wedding. Yeah, right in the middle of the shoot. About an hour into the wedding.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they said, we put a bandage on it. But I got to go to the hospital, I think. And I said, yeah, I think you do too. We called the backup photographer, 45 minutes. They were there. The other person kept shooting until then. They swapped the images. Nothing was missed. Nothing was a problem. The client said, I completely understand. They felt so bad for the photographer. Problem solved. Backup's ready to go. Seamless. There
wasn't a frantic phone call.
No.
Nobody was frazzled. That's what we have somebody in place for.
Ready to go. The goal is that when that person's on backup, their gear is ready to go, their dress clothes are ready to go. As soon as they get the phone call, it's like calling in a doctor on call. Like jump in, grab your stuff, and you're out the door.
They're hanging at home, ready to work.
Totally. We had a photographer, this is a couple years ago, that Morning of the wedding, they woke up, they're not feeling good, they go into urgent care, they had mono. And they wanted to keep shooting. And I called the client, I'm like, they got mono. They really want to do it, but I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I think that'd end up, a bad honeymoon with us with mono.
Right,
I was
exactly.
like, yeah, pretty contagious. Swapped them out, no problem, everything's good to go.
Wow.
It's also why, as a system in the company, we document everything. Clients, you'll see a form you fill out with all your details, all your information. When you talk to your photographer the 1 month, they're going to go over more information. That all goes into our system. Therefore, at any moment, even from my cell phone, I can relay that information to the new shooter.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's so huge. So if they had special requests or special
It's all in
locations
there.
or special family members, the backup photographer can just pull that up and not feel like they're completely lost.
No, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's huge.
That's so, and same with DJs. Kurt, who's been on here a couple times helping us with our venue profiles, if a DJ is sick or same situation, can't come and we have to rely on the backup DJ, they have all of your music. They're not going to come in blind and just hit play on some random playlist. They're going to know what you want.
Well, and the names and the order and everything's in there.
Let's not even forget music. Let's talk about your grand entrance and speeches and all that other really important stuff.
Sure.
Pronunciation. So your backup is going to know all that information, have it all, and beforehand.
To be prepared.
That is like such a huge
video.
piece of
The same
mind.
thing goes for that.
Same goes for video, and they have all their backup equipment, their cameras, their tripods, all of it. So it is such a huge peace of mind when you can find a company or a vendor that has a system like this in place, because you never know what is going to happen.
No. And these are things that years ago when I was just an independent, I didn't have that option.
Yep.
I mean, I had a small network of friends that maybe I'd call, but a lot of times on a busy day, they're probably shooting too.
Exactly.
So I didn't have that option. And when I found out we had it, I was like, oh, this is sweet.
And it's not the fancy, fun details of wedding planning that you're probably thinking about when you're checking things off the list, but that's why we have these conversations.
Yes.
We want you to get this information. So when you're booking, if you're booking for 2020, 2021, ask your photographers this, and DJs, because there's a lot of people, and videographers. There's so many people out there who are running their own business and doing their own thing. Do they have an extra laptop?
Yeah.
That costs money,
Sure,
do you have extra
absolutely.
speakers? Do you have an extra camera? Not everybody has that.
Right.
So, it's important. So we
again, it's not the fancy side of weddings,
Right.
But it is probably one of the biggest questions we get is the what if.
Right.
Clients always have the what if, what's the insurance policy? If you don't have an answer for that, the client's probably going to look elsewhere.
All right, let's see all the flashes again.
So in my bag, I am always I'm always carrying my main camera. My second camera is actually shooting us right now.
Okay.
There's a third right now. Let's see. Let's see
how much Chris can hold.
Triggers.
Okay.
There's a fourth camera. What's in my
See how
bag?
he doesn't hand me the oh, he did hand me a camera.
It's the backup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why Lauren can hold it. Always have additional batteries. Let's see how much you can hold. More modifiers. I'm not going to juggle all my lenses because I'll probably drop them.
Yeah, we don't want to.
So more
Oh
lenses,
my God.
more flash.
Oh my God.
This is like
This
half.
is half.
It's like half. And this isn't even counting all like my light stands that are in the truck and all that. And so that's just part of it. I mean, but you know what? Part of being a professional is having the right tools. The one thing I've always made the joke on for years and years is if you went to have your car worked on and you looked in the garage of the mechanic and the mechanic had, a small, tiny Walmart socket set and a couple screwdrivers, I'm not leaving my truck to be worked on there.
Probably not.
But if you walk in and you see the nice new equipment and this giant, rolling case of tools and this lift and everything else, okay, these people know what they're doing.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
You get what you pay for in quality, and you can really tell the difference, I think, between a professional and someone trying to be professional.
And that doesn't just mean the end result.
No.
Lots of people can take great photos.
Yep.
There's so many talented people out there, but it's being prepared for these types of situations that really set people out for the rest.
And as we always say with weddings, you get one chance.
Yep, that's it. And like
Can't redo
that
it.
poor couple, they're just so desperate to get their pictures. there was no backup for it.
No.
So that's why we wanted to stress to you guys how important it is, how much we believe in it. So check out some of our articles in the topic or in the post here. And if you have any questions, we have a link for you to schedule a quick call with our sales team. They can kind of help fill you in even more about having backup and on-call people. So
absolutely. And if questions arise, ask them in the comments.
Yes,
We can answer anything you guys are curious on. We got a pretty big show next week.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Royal Park. We've talked to a bunch of people who are getting married there. We've got graphics prepared. We're going to be showing you lots of images and videos. So I think like 25 people or something voted for Royal Park.
Such a beautiful
just
venue.
On Instagram.
Yeah,
So
it's
so
such
many,
a great location.
so many people wanted to see a little bit more about that venue. So we're going to be diving in and just showing you the nitty gritty of how to have a beautiful wedding there. They're a great team, so they know what they're doing. Cool.
Sweet.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're going to be getting this up on YouTube, putting it on social media channels. So share it if you didn't catch us live, and we will see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Bye.